very suspicious.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now, it has been a long time since Rabbi Michael and I have been up here, but not so long that you should have forgotten what to do when we say Shabbat Shalom. So let's try that again. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, good. Welcome to Temple Israel. We're so delighted that you could be here with us. And I wanted to do something. It's a new year that we haven't done in a long time because of COVID. So if you're not comfortable, that is okay. But if you are, I would love for you to take just a moment and turn to someone sitting close to you who you didn't come here with, and will you just wish them a Shabbat Shalom? You could even introduce yourself if you're so inclined. Start by doing a little bit of singing tonight. And I know that there are some people here who maybe this is their first time at services. There's some people who are here every week. Whichever you fall into or somewhere in between, please know you're always welcome to sing along, whatever the words are on the page or whatever words come into your hearts or your minds. But we are going to start with a song that is on page 11, at the bottom of the page. It's called Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Oti tonight, we have a lot of special guests. First of all, we have a group that is here visiting us. The confirmation class of First Presbyterian Church of Kirkwood. Delighted to have you all here. After the service, you guys are going to stay around and learn some stuff with Rabbi Michael. We also have a few different simchas that are happening this weekend. One you're going to find out a little bit later, but another one is that Lauren Franey is becoming bat mitzvah tomorrow, and we are so excited. Don't put your face in your hand. That's going to be awesome. So to get her sort of, pumped about it, we would love to invite her and her mom and her brother, right? Yes? Yes, okay, come on up to help us leading the blessings over the candles, which can be found on page 2. So if you guys want to light the candles with our magical lighter. It's like a lightsaber.
I'm familiar with it. Familiar with it. It's hacking.
Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. All right, and Lauren, if I can have you grab the Kiddush cup. Beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei juice. All right, and then Ryan, do you want to grab our challah? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Is there challah in there so I can just? So every Shabbat when we come together, it's believed, it's a story at least, that angels come into our home to help us really figure out how to make this an experience that is truly one of blessings, where we have angels around us. And so we welcome in these angels on page 24 as we sing the words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem LaShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ani LaShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem LaShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the bottom of 25 it reads, "So we understand that ordinary people are messengers, angels of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now, and we would not be the way we are. Never forget that you too may be a messenger or an angel, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes." So we'll ask you, if you will, if you are able, to please rise on page 28, and we'll call each other to worship with the words of the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, on the top of 31.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And we read responsively on the bottom of 33, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we join in the watchword of our faith, the words of the Shema on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And so we sing the song that our ancestors sang as they crossed the shores to freedom. Mi chamocha. Mi chamocha, bailim Adonai, mi kamocha, nedor b'kodesh, norati lo, osef eleh, norati lo, osef eleh. Mi chamocha, bailim Adonai, mi kamocha, nedor b'kodesh. We sing Mi chamocha, the prayer of freedom, but remembering that once we find freedom, that we still need God's protection over us. And so on page 42, we offer a hashkivenu, asking God to spread a shelter of peace and protection over us wherever we may go. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. In just a moment, we will turn to a prayer that goes by many names. We call it Tefillah, the prayer. We call it Shemona Esrei, which means 18. But we also call it Avot, which means ancestors. And specifically, because Hebrew is a little bit gendered and sexist, or fathers. But sometimes when you have a really amazing father, or a really amazing grandfather, or as I'm looking around the room, great-grandfather, it is worth having a special moment of praise. And so I would love to invite up one very special father and grandfather and great-grandfather, Judge Litz, who is celebrating his 100th birthday. Amazing. All right, so first we have to let everyone see how fabulous you are, because you're absolutely amazing. So some of you may know Judge Litz, first of all, because he's kind of a legend in the St. Louis community, but also because Judge Litz has been up here for many birthday blessings, because he's 100 years old, and it's so incredible. And every time he's here, we have this opportunity to give him a blessing. Now, I will also say that sometimes we have this opportunity to give Judge Litz a blessing when he's on his way to Israel to meet some of his Israeli relatives who are here tonight, and we're so delighted that you're here. And you might think that at age 100, some people would slow down and not want to go to Israel again. And those of us in the room, there's some over there and some over there who just came from Israel, know that it's an exhausting trip, but Judge Litz is like, why wouldn't I go again? So come back in February, friends, and we'll give Judge Litz a blessing to go to Israel then. But now, we get to give you a special blessing for your 100th birthday. So Rabbi Michael, you bring one hand over here too. So Judge, we were trying to decide exactly what blessing to be able to give you. And we know that the truth is, in our tradition, that the traditional blessing that we say on someone's birthday is we say you should live to 120, just like Moses. I find it quite possible that you may actually beat Moses here. So I'm not sure if that is the correct blessing, but we at least wanted to be able to offer you the priestly blessing, and then we'll sing a little birthday song together. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
May God's light shine upon you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's countenance be lifted over you. May it be granted with wholeness and peace. And my friends, if you want to sing happy birthday in Hebrew, the words are Yom Huledet Sameach, so please join us. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday. Thank you for celebrating. So I'll ask you all if you'll please rise, and we'll join together now in our prayer of votes, this prayer that praises our ancestors and all those who came before us on page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid zeilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem,
למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים והופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. On 55, we read responsively. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, with the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans.
Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred.
Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears.
Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality.
Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
So this time in our service, we are going to flip all the way forward to page 253. And it's at this point in our service that we always take a few moments and we offer prayers for healing. So if there's someone that you're thinking of in our community and your family circle or your circle of friends who could use healing prayers and who would appreciate knowing that their names were shared here, I would invite you to offer them at this time. So we're thinking too tonight of Henry, and we're thinking of David. We're thinking of Yitzchak Ben Meir, of Rebecca Span, of Lisi Weinstein, of Arlene Alper, and all of those names that we keep in our hearts for them and for us. We sing a Misha Berach. So it feels very nice to be back up here. It seems like it's been a very long time since we've been up here in person with you on the Bema. And as many of you know, the last 2 weeks we were virtual, just supporting our staff who wanted to be able to celebrate New Year's and Christmas with their families. And the 2 weeks before that, we were in Israel with many of you who are here tonight. And the amazing thing about being in Israel, I mean, there's a lot of amazing things about being in Israel, but one of the truly incredible things is that history is happening all the time around you, because Israel is such an ancient place that they're always in the act of finding something new. And in fact, even when we were there, they made this remarkable discovery of an artifact from the ancient temple, and it totally didn't even make the news at all. It was this huge find, but it wasn't even that big of a deal, because in Israel, they're finding these archaeological artifacts all the time that just help us understand and prove that so many of the people that we read about in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible, that these people existed. And so we find things all the time that really tell us that, there really was a King David, that there really was the temple as is described in our sacred scriptures. Now, where we are right now in our Torah, though, we read a little bit about David in the Haftarah, but where we are in our Torah is we are finishing this weekend the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshit. And this is the story where we hear all about Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah and Jacob and Leah and Rachel. And these names, well, we haven't really found a lot in archaeological digs about these people. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe it's truly that it's so ancient that we haven't found it yet and we have to keep digging. Or maybe it's that, these are things that maybe we don't understand exactly the language that they were using then and we can't recognize it. Or maybe these people didn't exist. I feel a little weird saying that in front of our church group tonight. They all know me. They know I say this kind of stuff all the time. I'm sorry if I just ruined something for you. But it's very possible that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and their families, that they may not have actually existed. And so that raises a big question for us who have been studying Genesis all of these weeks now, when we come back and we study it every year, which is, why are we studying stories of these people if there's a very good chance that the stories aren't true? Is that a gasp? Yeah, there you go. Okay, good. I like that. Sound effects. So I'd like to say that, maybe the answer is because we read these stories, because they teach us how to be Jewish and about the different laws. But the truth is, actually, it's really the rest of the Torah that we get the laws from. All of the thou shalts and thou shalt nots, all of the mitzvahs, right? The commandments. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them come from Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy. And there's a few of the commandments that come from the book of Genesis, but most of them are interpolated. It says be fruitful and multiply. So we assume that means that we should raise families. And it says that, after Abraham had a little surgery, that angels came and visited him. Oh, you guys know your Torah well. Then that means that we should go and we should visit people who are sick. But they aren't exactly direct commandments. So I would say then that the real reason that we study Genesis, that we study all of these stories of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the real reason for it is Lauren Franey. I know. Okay, I wish you could see the look on her face. She's like, what? So when Lauren and I were studying together for her bat mitzvah, she and Rabbi Michael spent many, many sessions together trying to sort of parse out the meaning here. And then by the time she got to be with me, we were really trying to figure out, okay, exactly what are we going to put down on that paper to share in your Devar Torah. And I'm teaching her about all this stuff. And Lauren, I can tell she's kind of maybe drifting a little bit as I try to teach her some of these valuable lessons. But then we talk about the stories in Genesis. And we talk about the stories in her parsha that have a lot to do with sibling rivalry. And all of a sudden, Lauren's like, huh? Right? She's like, oh, this is something I know. This is something I understand. And I'm picking on you, Lauren, because it's your bat mitzvah weekend. But the truth is that that's how most of us are. You can offer some sort of grand teaching about the way that we should give charity and the way that we should keep Shabbat and the way that we should keep all of these moral laws. And for the most part, we're going to sort of drift off and start thinking about something else. But if you give us an example of people whose lives somehow relate to ours. Suddenly, it speaks to us. And the amazing thing about Genesis is all of these stories of the matriarchs and patriarchs, there is so much in there that connects to our lives, because the matriarchs and patriarchs, they had some kind of things that are a little bit crazy and soap opera going on in our lives, but they're things that we can relate to, because there are stories of people like Sarah, who tries so hard to get exactly what she wants and then realizes in the end that it's not really what she wanted after all. And people like Abraham, who doesn't really appreciate his wife until after she's gone, and then he spends all of these years after her death trying to somehow make up for it. Or there are stories of people like Isaac, who spends his whole life just trying to fill his father's shoes, and even literally going and redoing the projects that his father took on. And then we even come down and we hear stories about sibling rivalry and things like Joseph that Lauren's going to teach us tomorrow. And we hear these stories, and they resonate so deeply with us that it allows us, if we let it, to look at our own problems and our families and with our friends, and to say, oh, that sounds a little bit like what I'm dealing with. I understand sibling rivalry. I understand what it's like to not appreciate someone while they're here. I understand what it feels like to not be able to live up to the example of a parent or a sibling. And we hear these stories, and hopefully they help us learn to be better people. Now, I know that there's a lot of stories out there, and even though the Torah and Genesis is a very good book, that's why they call it the good book, I understand that there are other good books out there, and you can read Shakespeare, and you can read Harry Potter, and you can watch all the shows, and you can watch, I don't know, White Lotus and Soprano. You're not White Lotus, maybe, but you can watch all of these fantastic shows that will also give you amazing life lessons, not White Lotus, but you can watch many things and read all these wonderful books that will give you messages. But the problem is that we haven't all read those books, and we haven't all seen those shows, and we haven't all seen those movies, because there's just so much content out there right now that all of our heads are constantly bombarded with these stories, but we don't share them. And part of what makes the Torah, and especially Genesis, so sacred is that these are the stories that we all know, that these are our shared stories. And even having a church group here tonight, they're your stories too. They're the stories that we share with so many people in our community, even outside of the Jewish world. And if we're able to look at our lives in this context of the stories that we all know, maybe we'll be able to take those lessons into our own hearts and into our lives a little bit better. So here we are. We are beginning a new year at the same time as we are ending this book of Genesis. But my hope is that with this beginning of a new year, that maybe you will be tempted to not just let Genesis go after Lauren's bat mitzvah. To maybe take this new year, if you're still looking for a resolution to make, to go back and learn some of these sacred stories and make them your own. Because if we're all looking at these stories, if we're all finding ways to connect to them and make our lives just a little bit better and more meaningful through them, then perhaps we'll be able to take these messages and these morals and really make this a beautiful and a happy new year for each of us. Shabbat shalom. So I'm going to ask you, if you will now, to please turn to page 282, and I'll invite you to rise, and we're going to join together in the bottom of the page the words of the Alim. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'artzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchakenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל עמונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים. 37. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death.
So this time we recall with love the names of those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names: William Bill Bryan, Patty Casson Quito, Dolly Newport, Teresa Dunback Partridge, Neil Rosenberg, and Sanford Weissman. We now recall the names of those the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial: Otto Joseph Baer, Ilse Bamberger, Richard Banker, Sigmund Barrick, Libby Galst Bass, Henry Lionberg, Milton M. Berger, Maxine Ada Blatt, Leon Bodenheimer, Harry Brandt, Ann Cooper, Herman Deutsch, James Eisman, Dr. Max Fendler, Lillian Fox, Ruth Glazer Frank, Irma Frankenstein, Adolf Fremder, Philip Fuchs, Rose Cutter Gelber, Sarah Esther Goldberg, Zelda Greenberg, Mark Jensen Harris, Selma Hollander, Sherry Kaplan, Carl Katz, Herman Kohlenbrenner, Louis Korach, Alex Landau, Julius Levy, Kurt Lindner, Lily Medali, Perry Melman, Benjamin Meisenberg, S. Gerald Molnar, Harold Machen, Faye Beth Schwartz Barrow Byrne, Amelia Paul, Stella Diamond Pearls, Cindy Plattner, Bess Robinson, Esther Hellerstein Rothenberg, Albert Safer, Benjamin Samuels, Scott Andrew Seidler, Merle Cohn Sievers, Horty Simon, Jacob Simon, Goldie Smith, Alan Spetner, Blanche Steele, N. Robert Wegeson, Clara Levy-Weil, Gusta Schur-Willer, Mary Willick, Dr. Gary R. Zuckerman. So with these names and the names that we keep in our hearts, we turn together to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach irteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shemei dekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ba'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru amen. May the source of peace and peace to those who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. And together we say, amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. So we'll do one closing song this evening, which seems fitting as we begin a new year, trying to make this year a better one than the years that came before. We sing the words, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, I will build this world of love. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, 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 Yadadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, 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 Yadadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, 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 this world. You will build this world from love. Yada-die, 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 die. If we build this world, if we build this world from love, yada-die, yada-die, yada-die. God will build this world. God will build this world from love. Yada-die, 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 die. Shabbat shalom, everyone. So, and if our group, if you all want to take a 5-minute bathroom break or snack break, you're welcome to, and then come on back.